All right. Back in the basement again. Check this out. I ordered these sweet custom baggy header cards. Ah, rad toy. Oh, I got a ton of these. I put them together, ordered all these little header cards specifically so that as I'm cleaning up my collection, finding things to part with, I can put them in these cool little baggies and I can put these header cards on here. Look at this. How sweet is that? I thought this would be a fun way to like bring stuff with me to shows, sell off some toys, also brand the baggies. I don't know. I just thought it was a really cool presentation, and you know, I'm putting together all kinds of stuff here. Look at, we got X-Men and Street Fighter. We got some Aladdin goodness here. So just, you know, as I'm digging through and I'm finding things to get rid of, I'm bagging them up and putting these cool little header cards on them. And then as I travel around to various toy shows this year, I might have opportunities to bring this stuff with me. And maybe if you see me at a show and you see something from my collection that you want to add to your collection, you'll get it with a cool little header card like this. What else we got? Oh, look, Gambit and Cammy. Sweet. So, with that in mind, today's video is all about continuing this sorting process. So follow me on down to the basement, because I got some stuff that I want to show you. So, doing more digging through the bins in my basement, I found myself going through my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bins. And I have a lot of those. I've got one right here. I've got one right here. I've actually got several of them right behind the camera here, and a lot of this is strictly just the vintage stuff. Now, when I say vintage, I'm referring to like not only the original toy line, but also the 2003 toy line. I've also got all my 2012 figures, vehicles, play sets, all that stuff. And that's not even counting things like NECA, Super 7. I've been collecting Ninja Turtles toys for a long time. It's always been one of my primary collections. Let's look at some of these bins right here just to show you what I've got stored away. All right, so this one right here, I actually have labeled. I actually have this one labeled. See if you can see that. TMNT Vintage Complete. So at one time, I sorted my vintage Turtles collection into different bins for complete figures, near complete figures, figures missing everything. But I still want to go through these eventually and better organize them and get them into better clear bins like I've been doing with some of the other stuff. But I got some really cool things in here. There's Worm. Getting him complete's kind of a big deal because he's got all those tiny little worms that goes with him. Oh, this is like a little bin that I was keeping like extra mini buddies. I got some of the turtles from the ooze in there. I've got all these little ooze canisters because I love the ooze canisters for this line. See, some of the things in this bin don't even belong in this bin because this bin was labeled complete. Here's a turtle troll, Raphael. I don't see a belt or weapons in there with him. So these definitely need some organizing. I always liked this one. This is the Toon Cycle with Raphael. So wacky. You know, it's a re-deco for the most part of the early Turtle cycle, but it's got this great cartoony Leatherhead on there with like the lenticular eyes bouncing around. It's super fun. I like it. All right, let's find one more cool thing in here. What else is in here? That appears to be a bootleg. Argentina, it says on the back of this. Awesome. Oh, there we go. There's a good one. That's my boy, Mutagen Man. Love this figure. Love this character. Super cool. All right. So there's that bin. This bin over here is just labeled TMNT Vintage Loose. Thought it might be fun to kind of peek in here too, just to see some of the things I might have in here. Well, that's a good one. It's Hothead. Love it.
This is missing all of his accessories, but I absolutely love the Super Mutants. I think that is so cool. Oh, this is in here too. See, these bins are just all mixed up, but this is something really cool that I feel like I need to show you guys if you've never seen this before. So this is a bootleg that was floating around in the early 2000s. That I picked up. I remember seeing this at a lot of conventions in the early 2000s. Like a swarm of these definitely came out, I think out of Argentina, but maybe if some of you watching know for sure. But it's a bootleg utilizing Mondo Gecko's body, and that's a Mondo Gecko skateboard. But the head is Al Negator from the Bucky O'Hare toy line. It is so weird and so wild, but I love stuff like this. That is so cool. I forgot that was in here. That's great. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. People always this is kind of a bit of a more expensive guy nowadays, but that is the small version of Krang's android body. And you can see there's a tiny little Krang in there. And look, I actually have the card and all the accessories for this one. That's a good one. I like it. And I also showed you guys, like in my first video about my basement digging, like I have a lot of like my favorite and like more of the rare boys for my TMNT figures. They're on display upstairs already, and I do have like a Turtles display. But there's obviously a lot here that I need to go through. So that's part of what I've been doing. I want to get this all organized. I want to get a better Turtles display going at some point. But first step is organizing and going through everything. But that's when I came across a bin that is going to be, I think, the main focus for today's video. Because one of the bins I came across was my collection of figures from the 2K3 toy line. The 2003 era Ninja Turtles line. It was sort of the first time the franchise had really been rebooted, if we're kind of not counting Next Mutation, since it kind of butted right up against the vintage toy line. It went away for a few years, and then 2K3 showed up, and it was just an awesome reboot with an incredible series of toys. And I found my bin, which had totally been disorganized. Just everything was just shoved in there, no rhyme or reason. All the accessories were shoved in a baggie, so everything needed to be organized, and that is what I decided to put my focus on this week. So I drug this bin out of the basement and I dumped it all over the floor in my family room. And this was a mess for a night because what I wanted to do here was first organize all of the figures on the floor just so I can see everything that I had. So that meant any doubles or triples that I happened to come across, I wanted to set those next to each other just so I can see what I had. I was shocked to see that I had so many doubles of these figures. It's pretty wild. And then I had the baggie full of accessories. So at that point, I had to start sorting out the accessories, trying to put them with who I remembered they went with, which turned into me doing a whole bunch of research just to make sure I matched everything up correctly, which I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I have a lot of these figures complete. Most of the figures here are complete, aside from my doubles. So that really got me thinking, like, the reason I must have so many doubles is because I think I was buying a lot of lots of these, like, in the early 2000s, maybe leading up to the, I guess it wouldn't be the early 2000s, right? Because these came out in, like, 2003 and went through, like, 08 or so, 07. So, now that I'm thinking about it, it would have been the latter half of the 2000s, probably leading up to the release of the 2012 series. I think I really geared up wanting to collect for the 2K3 line, and so I started buying lots. And then I just never properly organized everything, so I just had no idea what I had. Let's go back upstairs. I will show you the results of my sorting.
All right, so this right here, see this nice big old bin? This is my bin of 2K3 Turtles that are all nicely sorted, organized, all the weapons are matched up. This is my keep pile. And the plan isn't to keep them in this bin forever, but My hope is that as we go through this process of sorting and organizing my collection to figure out what I have, this will eventually lead to setting up some proper displays of my favorite things. But that is like a down the road part of this entire process. First, we're figuring out what everything is, and we're getting it all organized, and that's exactly what I did here. So now, each of these figures is individually baggied. They're matched up with their weapons. I know exactly what I've got in here. Hey, let's say we go through some of the cool figures from the TMNT 2K3 toy line so you can run down memory lane along with me. Man, let me tell you guys, this era was a good era for toys. This is such a fun line to go back and look at now and revisit. So the Turtles here have actually recently been re-released from Playmates Toys. So maybe you picked up those 2003 reissues, but I'm telling you, these back in 2003 were quite an upgrade at the time. Playmates was still kind of doing the usual. Like you can see, this is still before everything got super articulated, so there's still a lack of articulation in the elbows and the knees. The legs are all pre-posed. But what you got for the cost of these figures was pretty incredible. First of all, the paint deco on these is such an improvement over what we got originally because they went all out on paint with these figures. I mean, look at, they even have a wash on there, so they're a little bit gritty looking, you can see. And then the big thing with these is that the weapons were fully painted. All of the accessories were fully decoed out. And we even did get that still with the reissues from Playmates, which honestly I'm a little bit surprised by. But one thing we didn't get are all of the other accessories that these original releases came with. The Turtles didn't just get their signature weapons. They also got things like throwing stars with the cool little yin-yangs on them. And then each of them also got like a unique accessory of some kind as well. We got things like this zip line and rope right here. You can see the little hooks on the ropes, which is pretty cool. Michelangelo had this really cool like climbing device here. This is actually tied up. It's crazy. I've never actually untied this, but it's a pulley system thing. So you would pull it and he would hold on to it and wind up as if he's climbing up the side of a building or something. Pretty sweet stuff. Leonardo got these awesome little suction cup pieces for his hands so he can climb up the side of windows, smooth surfaces. And then probably the coolest, I think, is Donatello's, because not only did he get 2 bow staffs, and of course he got the same throwing stars as the others, but he also got these like blade accessories here, which are really cool because these clip onto either side of the bow staff, which just adds a dagger and an axe to the bow staff, I guess to make the weapon more cool than just being a stick. But I think that's so cool that they got all these extra accessories. And look at this. Everything was fully painted. It's amazing. I always really liked this Splinter design as well, and he looks great. He's got the soft goods robe. He's got a cane that has a classic hidden knife inside, just like on the vintage toy, but they painted the blade silver on there, which is really cool. But in addition to that, he also got this quiver of arrows. He got a bow and arrow. Look at that. It has a string on there. Pretty sweet. And a little canister of mutagen, again, fully painted. I'm sure most of you understand, but if you don't know why I keep pointing out how everything is fully painted, it's because Playmates is pretty notorious for just giving us unpainted weapons. The vintage toy line was all unpainted weapons, and I think basically everything since this toy line has been unpainted weapons, with exceptions. We've had some painted weapons here and there, but everything in this line had a full paint deco, which was amazing. April O'Neil is really great, but boy, she is so of her times with that outfit. That is just such an early 2000s look with those baggy khakis and the midriff there, the tummy exposed on the shirt, but still, she was really cool. Not only does she have this little lead pipe to help defend herself, but she also has a laptop, and she came with mousers, 2 mousers, and these are great mousers too, because look at that. They got the little eye is painted on there. They're articulated at the jaw and the legs. I mean, very cool. And it was the first time that we got like accurate height mousers action figures. And then my boy Casey Jones, I love this Casey Jones action figure. I think he's so cool. He's got clip-on armor pieces there. You got the padding on the arm and the leg. You can see he's got the golf bag that is housing a hockey stick, a baseball bat, and a golf club, and the hockey mask is removable. Just a seriously great batch of figures. Like, look at this batch of heroes right here. I think these are great. And you still got to realize, like, back in 2003 when these came out, these were retailing for like $8, under $10. We got all that. Man, what a great era for toys, seriously. Shredder had such a great look in this series as well. I love the look of this figure here. And he's got a bunch of really cool accessories as well. Of course, they made a big deal about the sword that he carried in the show. He came with two of them that could connect together to make the longer version. And then he's also got like a spear staff type weapon and some ninja stars. And then this was Hun. Big ol' Hun there was his right-hand man. He's got these great clip-on armor pieces on his arms that have like a dragon shape to them. You got the claws over on the other arm. Just very cool, big, hefty figure. And speaking of Shredder, like that's a great looking Shredder. But my personal favorite Shredder in this toy line was this one, the armorized Shredder. I think you guys can guess why. Yeah, look at the vac metal armor. How sweet does that look? So all those armor bits are removable on this one. You can like clip off any of those vac metalized shiny armor pieces there and they snap back on. But also he's got a removable helmet. So you can see the Oroko Saki head there. Pretty cool stuff. I like this Shredder a lot. All right, I showed you those little mousers with April, but how about the giant mouser? This is a pretty crazy looking contraption right there. His hands look like mouser heads. He's also got the larger mouser head here at the top. And then we got this Baxter Stockman. So Baxter, spoiler alert, he did not turn into a fly. Instead, he just straight up lost his body. And then he's got this crazy robot look. You can see his head is inside this robot body right here. What a wild figure. And then later on, we got this version of Baxter Stockman with his newer robot body. This is a later line figure. He's a bit on the obscure side. In fact, he's one of the more expensive figures in this line, I came to find out. He comes with this crazy little spider contraption, which also has another Baxter head inside of it, and these heads are actually swappable. So this one's got like a robotic eye and everything, so you can actually swap it with this Baxter head here. Real crazy stuff going on. I love it. So many classic TMNT characters got figures in this line as well. One of them that's really, really cool is Savanti Romero, straight out of the Mirage comics. He showed up as part of the Paleo Patrol series towards the end of the toy line, which was like the dinosaur theme series, which is why he's got a little bit of dinosaur theming. But still getting a Savanti Romero figure, that was pretty sweet. Of course, we got some other classics in here like the Rat King. You can see I got his little rats down there as well. There's Leatherhead, who had a very cool look in this show. And of course, we've even got Fugitoid. And then another one of the gems from this line. Before she even got super popular in the 2012 series, we got Karai. And she was really great because she had Shredder armor, because she took over as the Shredder in this series. Really cool stuff. The Triceratons got great representation in this line. We got Mozar here, which is really awesome. I love these removable face masks they've got here too. Just very, very cool figures. But I will say, this guy over here might be one of the worst decisions that they made in the line, because you can see how floppy his joints all are, because his whole feature is that when you press the button, he like collapses. Like one of those old like ragdoll type toys. Like, look, it's just a string that's holding them all together. You have to like wind them back up to straighten them out. Like, what in the world were they thinking with this action feature? It's terrible. We even got Usagi Yojimbo in this line with a much more classic comic booky look to him. He's got a bit of an unfortunate action feature, but Jen here got the worst of it because, I mean, it's pretty awesome to see a figure of Jen, but they did the same thing to this poor guy as that Triceraton because he's got that collapsing feature. Like, whose idea was it? What in the world is this? Such a bad idea for these. But they did do some really cool stuff in this line as well. Like, did you know they made a figure of Hamato Yoshi? Like, how cool is that? Look, he's got his little rat cage here. You can open up the rat cage. Look at the little baby unmutated Splinter. How great is that? This series went back to the idea that Hamato Yoshi was a separate person. Like, Splinter was his pet rats. Which was like the original comic book concept for the characters. And he's also got like this crazy action feature where, oh, now he's a ghost of Hamato Yoshi. I don't know. There's some real fun stuff in this toy line. And what I showed you here today is just a fraction of what I actually have in my collection and what this toy line has available to it. It's a bit of an overlooked TMNT toy line these days. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of this series. So there you go. Ninja Turtles, 2K3, sorted, organized. I still have so much left to do. But it's a process, right? This is an ongoing process, and I will continue to bring you guys along with me on the journey as long as this is something that you are enjoying. I know that documenting it is fun, and it definitely makes this a little bit more exciting, so I hope you guys enjoy coming on this journey with me. And, you know, stay tuned because I'll be doing more of this, but also as I'm getting out there, I'll hopefully be bringing along with me some of the stuff that I'm going to be parting with. And all of these doubles that I found today of my 2K3 Turtles, I've actually decided that I'm going to do a whatnot sale first to part with a bunch of those. And then whatever's left with that, I will take those out with me to various shows throughout the year. So go find me on Whatnots. Do a search for Pixel Dan. You'll find me. Bookmark the show. It's happening the same weekend that I'm dropping this video. And come buy some turtles. Come get some of these things from my collection. Get them out of my house. Take them to your collection. Thank you guys, as always, for joining me on my journey. More toy hunting is on the way. We got lots of shows scheduled. We're going to be getting out there. We're going to be doing some toy hunting. So I'm not just getting rid of things, I'm finding things that are on my list and I'm checking those things off my list. So that's the hope for this year. Join me. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy hunting, my friends. And until next time.